This episode of The Solid Verbal is brought to you by our good friends over at Proper Cloth, the leader in men's custom shirts. Ordering a custom shirt has never been easier. All you got to do is answer 10 easy questions. For premium quality and perfect fitting shirts, visit propercloth.com. Use the gift code SOLID and get $20 off your first custom shirt.
Welcome to The Solid Verbal. The Solid Verbal.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
I've heard so many players say, well, I want to be happy. You want to be happy for a day? Eat a steak.
It's that woo-woo!
And now, Dan and Ty.
Welcome back to The Solid Verbal, boys and girls. My name, as always, is Ty Hildebrand. Joining me way over there, virtually seated to my right in New York City, his name is Dan Rubenstein. Sir, how are you?
Ty, I am great. It is undeniable that you and that we should be together. It's unbelievable, Ty. I remember I used to say, I'd fall never. The basis is need to know, Ty. If you don't know just how I feel...
Oh, man. I have no idea what this is.
Ty, let me show you now that I'm for real. If all things in time will reveal.
I am lost. What are you talking about?
What do you mean, what am I talking about, Ty? I don't know?
I don't know the song. What is it?
One, you're like a dream come true.
Ah, Brian
Two,
McKnight?
Just want to be with you. Yeah, absolutely, it's Brian.
Going back to like 99-ish?
2000, yeah. No, that was, Woo! I guess that would have been fall of senior year of high school for me.
Yeah.
So that would have been freshman of college for you? What a time. He used to come into the restaurant I worked in high school, the barbecue restaurant. Very nice.
Deep cut here on The Solid Verbal.
That's Brian McKnight's #1 song, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just I wasn't expecting you to go that far back.
Ty, always expand that mind.
Well, let me start the show by also asking you a bit of an awkward question.
Okay.
Would you like to know what I'm wearing?
I thought you'd never ask. Of course, Ty.
I am wearing my delightful green Solid Verbal t-shirt that just came in the mail earlier this week. We've got pictures rolling in on the Twitter feed, on Instagram, on Facebook, you name it. People that we sent shirts to are finally receiving them. They're happy. They're excited. They're wearing them out to the games this weekend. And as it were, we're also getting a number of people asking about the second run for these t-shirts as well. So At least in the early going here, it seems like this has been a raging success. We're excited that everyone's finally got a chance to get these in the wardrobe and wear them out to their games of choice.
Exceeded my expectations, and they're soft, they're great looking, everything's positioned really well. Shout out to Ken Greeley, who always goes to games and takes pictures at games.
It's the only shirt that Ken Greeley has in his dresser.
I'm so pumped every time I see that. So, yes, we are doing a second run. It will late October, early November, somewhere around there. Does that sound okay?
Sure.
And we will do it through our friends at Cotton Bureau. Cannot stress enough. Thank you to everybody who bought a shirt. It was cool to see some of our pals in sports media posting it online. So, very grateful. It's so cool.
Absolutely. Well, we've got week 6 in front of us here. It's a good week of games if you have to miss it in its entirety, which I'm told some emailers have written in about already. If you have to miss it in its entirety, make sure it's for somebody special.
Ooh.
Make sure it's for somebody meaningful, for something meaningful, very meaningful in your life. Because though there might not be the headliners like we saw in week 2, Lord knows we've got plenty of games here that could go in an interesting way or two. Is that fair to say?
Fair to say. Appreciate the sacrifice if somebody is missing this Saturday slate of action to do something special. That's what I'm saying.
Totally. All right. So what is on your mind before we get into our actual picks here? How you feeling about this week?
I'm feeling good. I am hopeful that certain teams, and all teams really, but certain teams do enough to maybe get coaches a little bit of breathing room and everybody keeps their job and improves and everybody's good at football. I'm very positive about that. I I saw that Bob Stoops said he will never coach again in the college or pros.
Good for him.
So there's that. Other than that, not too much. I saw it was the anniversary. I forget who wrote it. I think it might have been our pal Sam Kahn over at ESPN. Did a Johnny Football, Alabama retrospective oral history type thing. Very cool to see because it's already been, this is 5 years, Ty?
Whew. Yeah.
It's been a while. But no, other than that, everything is pretty much game related.
Shall we get right in? Should we just dive right in? We got a lot of games to discuss here.
Let's dance.
Dan, Ty, help. I need picks of the week.
All right, Dan. Window of opportunity is back. It is in business. It has been repaired. It has been repaired physically, mentally, you name it, the works. We've been working hard on the window of opportunity this week. Mm-hmm. And as I mentioned, a lot of good games. If you got to miss it, make sure you're doing it for somebody special.
Absolutely.
But if you do have your druthers and you can still watch some of the games this week, I think you choose to watch the games earlier. Now, keep in mind, week 4 didn't work out so well for me when I made that prediction.
True.
I think if you're going to go out for a date night, this could be a good week to do it. Later on, watch the early afternoon games, the 3 o'clock games, go out for a movie a little bit later on, go out, get a drink a little bit later on, come back. I think it will be safe this week.
Give me the window, Ty. Give me a block. Give me like an hour 45. Give me 2 hours. Give me the block that you would recommend for optimal watching and return.
Maybe go out to Applebee's, get some boneless buffalo wings at like 7 p.m.
No, don't do that.
At like 7 p.m., go out. 7 p.m. to 9, go out.
I was going to say, give me the time. Yeah, 7 to 9 I think feels right.
7 to 9, go out, have an appetizer at your friendly neighborhood Applebee's, and then come on home, watch the later games.
So 7 to 9, really the only thing that interrupts with, Michigan State kicks off at 7:30, I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Wisconsin, Nebraska's at 8 p.m. This is all of Eastern time. Washington State, Oregon is at 8 p.m. That could be interesting if Oregon has any sort of quarterback play. You would be leaving after Miami, Florida State is what I'm assuming your window suggests.
Yeah, right.
So you leave at the conclusion of that. You have a couple of interesting super late night games if you're on the East Coast, Stanford, Utah, San Diego State, UNLV. Maybe if UNLV plays a little bit of defense. No, I think 3:30 is the attractive window with West Virginia, TCU. So you just make sure, Ty, and I speak to everybody here, make sure you leave after the end of those 3:30 games. Alabama A&M should not be much of a game. I would say you can miss it, but at least monitor that and make sure you have an app on your phone that will play that, a Watch ESPN type thing, the Sling TV.
Yeah,
but I think you hit it, Ty. I think you hit it.
Thank you. All right, window of opportunity. Go out.
I like it.
Get some appetizers, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., be home around 10:30.
Is there an appetizer, Ty? Is there a non-mainstream appetizer that you would recommend?
Non-mainstream? I don't do this food conversation. This is not my wheelhouse.
Ty.
Because anything I say here is going to be too mainstream for you and your highfalutin.
That's not true.
Your highfalutin menu. So I
just love I love mainstream and I love non-mainstream.
I don't know what non-mainstream is. I'm going to abstain from answering this question.
Jalapeno poppers, Ty, are mainstream, I would say.
I would agree with that.
Hummus, maybe not mainstream.
Really?
And at this point in 2017, probably mainstream.
Let me think about this. And in the middle of like our Georgia Vandy preview, I'm just going to blurt something out. Okay.
Ooh, I've got a good one for then, but okay.
Okay. When we least expect it, just blurt it out. Mm-hmm. On that note, let's get to our first game of the week. Technically not the first game of the week, but
our first game.
Our first game of the week. Thank you. We'll start at high noon on Saturday. It's an ABC game. It is Penn State, a 14.5-point favorite on the road at Northwestern, Daniel. Does this game sound familiar at all to you?
I mean, yes, I believe so. What should sound familiar?
Well, we've been talking about this one for a long time now.
Oh, this is your circle weirdness.
This was your circle weirdness.
Oh,
you circled weirdness.
All this.
When we met up before the season to kind of like talk things through, you had this one circled.
That's true. I hadn't seen Northwestern completely unable to run the ball with Justin Jackson. That was a bit of a surprise to me. That's a bit of a surprise because other than Clayton Thorson sort of being accurate in short distances and the Northwestern offense chugs along like that, Northwestern doesn't do all that much well.
We thought that Northwestern was going to look a lot better than they have. It was also a close game 2 years ago when these teams last played in Evanston. And top 5 teams on the road, that's always an interesting storyline, especially in a place where we saw a close game in recent memory. I don't think Northwestern gets blown out at home. I think they will have trouble running their offense for many of the reasons you've already mentioned. This is not a line that has performed well at all. Clayton Thorson, did you know, is getting sacked about 10% of the times he drops back to throw a ball.
Not great.
That is not good, especially against a very good Penn State defense. And as you alluded, their rushing offense is definitively very, very bad. If you add all that up, it definitely brings us to a place where Penn State's defense rules the day, but somehow doesn't get headlines because James Franklin's doing fun, creative things with Saquon Barkley.
Yes. All true things.
So I'm with Penn State winning this game. Perhaps it's a gut feel that I can't totally rationalize at this point, but I feel like it's right around the number. I think Penn State wins, but they don't cover 31-20.
I'm feeling, the more I think about last week, the past couple of weeks, more last week than the Iowa game, I feel better and better about Penn State, that they're able to win in new, if not slightly ugly ways. Saquon Barkley didn't have a great game on the ground, but he certainly had a ridiculous kick return and was really good catching the ball, even threw a touchdown pass. So they're, as you mentioned, Joe Moorhead and the offensive staff finding creative ways to go about things, even when Trace McSorley's confidence downfield may not be where it was at the end of last season. But yeah, Penn State has the defense to pretty much shut down Northwestern. Northwestern came back and sort of made it a game last week against Wisconsin, but right now there are too many ways for Penn State to win. I have 37-17, the Nittany Lions.
Okay. We disagree. Moving on. Saturday at 3:30, it's a CBS game. Florida is playing host to LSU. This is an interesting game. It was more interesting couple short weeks ago, but things have gone a bit sideways for LSU. It's a 3.5-point line here. What I come away thinking when I look at a game like this is how LSU is just not trustworthy at all. Not at all. We've got back-to-back losses now that we're dealing with to Mississippi State, a game in which they got blown out. And then the one a week ago, a bit of a stunner against Troy. Clearly, these are two that snuck up on us. The question I would pose to you, though, is how much more, if at all, do we trust the Florida Gators in this spot?
The Florida Gators, without what you could argue is their more reliable, less talented, but more reliable quarterback.
Correct.
I went back and forth on this game. Florida's mostly been a struggle on offense, and now that they're down probably their best two receivers, Antonio Callaway hasn't played, but Tyree Cleveland is now out. It's not a particularly efficient situation. They were able to run the ball with a bit more energy last week, and I don't think LSU ultimately will be as bad as they've been these past couple weeks. I really don't. The story came out about Matt Canada not really having full control over the offense, and now he supposedly will. Ed Orgeron was sort of holding him back. And the talent is there with skill positions, I still believe, with LSU. Line play has been dicey. We saw Troy run all over them. I definitely think this defense can do enough keeping the deep passing game of Felipe Franks in front of them. I think there is a reboot week coming for LSU.
I agree. I really agree with that.
There's just something like LSU has been stale. They've sort of been sleepwalking. It doesn't seem like the personality of this coaching staff. I'm going to say this will be the reboot week. It's an emotional game after what happened last year with the back and forth with the Hurricane. I'm going to take LSU close here in an LRO game. Luck runs out.
Okay.
Luck runs out a little bit for Florida. 2017 Tigers.
Wow, I have 23-17 Tigers.
There it is.
We are of one mind here. I think back to your comment from a week ago about UCLA. You know, you picked UCLA to win outright over Colorado. And what was your rationale?
Got to win at some point.
They got to be good at some point, right?
They got to do something at some point.
Florida reminds me of my old car. Have I told this story on the podcast? I don't remember.
Please do. I should add Darius Geis was a full participant in practice today.
Which is important. That's very important.
Boost, yeah.
I probably told you the story. I don't know if I told the listenership the story, but I had a situation recently, and actually it was around Labor Day weekend when Florida's offense was a mess against Michigan that weekend. But my car broke down in the middle of a busy highway during rush hour. I don't know if anyone out there, I'm sure a lot of people are in their cars now. Check your gas gauge, check your battery, make sure you're good.
Keep your hands at 10 and 2, though. Come on, focus.
Yeah, exactly. If you've never been in that situation where you're basically stranded in a left turn only lane in the middle of like 60 to 70 mile an hour traffic, it is not exciting. Mm-hmm. So the cops show up in this situation for me because I don't know what to do. I'm calling 911. Like, what? The tow truck's going to be there in 45 minutes. Like, I'm going to get killed by then. The cops come out. They guide me to safety. They were great. But I call the truck. I get it towed. The garage, they run the tests on it. And eventually they tell me it's a dead battery cell, which is why it wasn't charging, whatever. I don't know a whole lot about vehicles, but...
Is this all leading up to Les Miles now works at that auto body shop?
It could.
This is where this is
You never
going?
know.
Yeah. Our podcasting brethren, Les Miles.
But they drop a new battery in this thing, right? Mm-hmm. And they tell me you're good to go. Well, this is an older vehicle.
Yeah.
And even though it's like, yeah, cool, like it'll start and it'll run, the solid wife and I had to have a very real conversation. Like, how much do we really trust this vehicle at this point? Mm-hmm. It may run for a while, but at some point it's going to break down, and that's how we feel about Florida.
Is this the Florida offense?
This is the Florida offense.
Yes!
I bought a new car, man. That's what I did.
Oh, it's great.
Anyway, my point is it's about trust. I always say it's about trust, babe.
Yeah.
I don't trust Florida. I don't think LSU loses with a more veteran team, especially not after a week where they had a really bad loss at home. They're not going to look lethargic on the road. The offense opens up a bit. I think they generate some bigger plays on the ground and through the air because Florida's been a little vulnerable in that department. I'm going to go LSU 23-17. I may come back and lock this one up. I feel very confident.
It definitely feels like a game that LSU is going to make Felipe Franks look uncomfortable in the pocket, which he has.
I would agree with that, yeah.
Done before, has looked before.
All right, so we agree.
We agree.
Saturday, 3:30 on Fox Sports 1, TCU at home, a 13-point favorite against West Virginia, Dan. I will start off by saying that I like TCU 41-24 here.
Ooh, spicy. Is that 17 points?
17 points. It's a lot of points. It's a lot of points.
Sell me. Sell me on a comfortable cover.
I don't feel great about this game is where I'm going with this. I can't sell you on anything.
Okay.
My point, though, the reason I'm going TCU is because I know something about TCU.
True.
Because they did about as well as you're going to do against Oklahoma State, one of the best offenses in the country, on the road no less. The transitive logic here would be, hey, if you can do that against Oklahoma State and West Virginia isn't nearly as good on offense as Oklahoma State, then you should probably pick TCU. That does not always work, but that at this point is the best logic I can conjure up here. That's the direction I'm leaning.
All right, so both of these teams, TCU against better competition than West Virginia, they are pretty efficient moving the ball, stopping the ball. The balance that TCU has shown, Darius Anderson and Shewo nailed the first part, Ty. Alona Lua, I think I nailed the whole thing, Ty.
You do the complicated names. I can't even pronounce food.
Kenny Hill has been a plus. If we didn't know about Kenny Hill in the past, we would think he is playing like a top 12 to 15 quarterback, if not higher right now. The efficiency with which he's playing, which I like a lot. I don't know if it lasts all year, but I'm encouraged. The defense of TCU, as you mentioned, against Oklahoma State and beyond that, they have been great. They have done everything they possibly could do to, at the very, very least, put the TCU offense into a good position to score and finish drives. Both of these teams, which I think is going to make this ultimately super duper entertaining, Ty, they give up some plays. They give up some bigger explosive plays. And that's problematic for West Virginia, given they haven't really played anybody after that Virginia Tech game. Both of these teams are coming off a bye, so they should be rested and planned, whatever. The winning team limits the big plays more, forces more passing downs, third and longs, etc. I think that team is TCU, but because I think it's going to be a sort of higher scoring back and forth, I'm going to take those points, 42-38 TCU. They win, they don't cover.
Spicy. Yeah.
Spicy!
I just don't know what you trust in if you're picking West Virginia.
They run the ball super well, Ty.
They do. Crawford's got, 7.5 a carry.
They stay ahead of the chains.
If they can get him going, that takes a lot of pressure off our boy Billy Greer.
True.
And also, we should mention, we haven't talked about David Sills at all on the podcast. People might remember the name David Sills. He was the 13-year-old quarterback, who was once a verbal commit to USC when Lane Kiffin really went out ahead of the curve to recruit him to come to Southern California. He is at West Virginia. He's a tight end, and he's got 7 touchdowns through 5 weeks. That is obviously an asset in that Dana Holgorsen offense. I need to know more about West Virginia before I'm willing to roll with them in a game like this. I go TCU. I think it's a combination of Darius Anderson on the ground. I think their defense forces field goals instead of touchdowns. They win the field position game. And their offense just doesn't do anything stupid. That's been their hallmark so far. So let's go 41-24. TCU wins at home and covers.
Shout out to our pal Andy Staples for the very deep cut goof when the Braves GM stepped down for illegally signing a 14-year-old Dominican. Andy pointed out that he will make for a very good receiver for West Virginia someday. Appreciated that. From me to you.
All right. 3:30. ESPN Miami. They're on the road. It is a 3-point line here. They're a road favorite. They're in Tallahassee against the Florida State Seminoles, Dan. You know, the analytics all point to this being a close game. Nearly every one of them has Florida State ranked higher. If you look at the S&P Plus, if you look at ESPN's FPI, team rankings, the only one that I could find that has Miami ranked higher is our friends over at Massey Peabody.
The only thing with S&P is I think a chunk of that is preseason rankings and talent level recruiting spillover stuff from last year. So we're not fully ranked based on this year. But that's okay.
That is correct. And my larger point is that the numbers are all very good. They're all very useful, but you have to know how to use them. You have to know when to trust them. And to be honest, I think this is a situation where you throw out the numbers. You can throw out numbers, right?
Absolutely, you could.
I am not buying these rankings at all. I have watched every snap that James Blackman has taken for Florida State. He could end up being very good. He probably will be. He's not there yet. He's not there yet. If you watched the game against Wake, had some flashes, could prove to be a really good quarterback. He is not there yet, and Miami's defense is really good. So unless he's been sandbagging this whole time, I don't feel particularly confident about Florida State moving the football.
Or unless he's just been a true freshman.
Well, right. That's what I'm saying. He could be I don't want to be too critical like I've been on Brandon Wimbush, another first-time starter. But my point here is that he could be very good. He's just not ready yet. Not for a defense like Miami's.
I think you have made a lot of good points. I also am a pretty big believer in some of Miami's numbers. Their opponent level has not been great, so it's hard to take too much away from the numbers, so I'm happy to throw a good number of them out. But Miami has looked like a complete team. They've run the ball extraordinarily well. Mark Walton is averaging damn near 10 yards per carry. Again, opponent level not great, but that's still pretty impressive. They have been extremely efficient offensively. Defensively, the only real knock I'd have is they're not great against the run. Wonderful news, Ty. Florida State has struggled to move the ball on the ground. it's a good weakness against weakness for Miami, considering their talent level and experience. I'm not a fan of this Florida State offense at all to do anything creative, to adjust, to do anything in this game against a good defense, even though it's in Tallahassee. I am a big believer that Florida State cannot take advantage of that limited Miami weakness. I have Miami on the road, and you know I hate picking against home dogs, Ty.
Yeah.
On the road, I have Miami 28-17. They comfortably cover. Lock it up.
Lock of the week.
I may come back to this one as well.
Just not impressed with the Noles.
Yeah, I've got 28-14. Miami wins this one. I like them a lot. Nobody's talked a lot about Miami because they haven't really played any high-profile games yet, but this is finally one of those. And I think this is the one that gets Miami in the conversation because people are going to start to realize that they're good, that the schedule is favorable. Bill Connolly has them at the number escapes me. It's like 80% chance of them finishing with 9 wins or more. So this is a good football team that's going to have a very good season. And there are a number of deficiencies for Florida State that I think they can take advantage of. It's 28-14.
I agree.
All right, Dan. Listen, we have to talk.
I always like talking.
Did you know about Indochino?
Ty, not only do I know about Indochino, I love knowing about Indochino.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
Indochino, they're making it easy to get a perfectly tailored suit at an incredible price. Choose from hundreds of top quality fabrics and personalize your suit just the way you want it. Whether it's for work or a wedding or another special occasion, Indochino has suited up hundreds of thousands of guys and are now the largest made-to-measure menswear brand in the world. Wow.
Ooh.
Do this for a wedding. We've been saying this for months now.
Mm-hmm.
Here's how it works. You go to Indochino.com, INDOCHINO.com, or you can go by one of their 9 North American showrooms and pick from hundreds of fabrics and patterns. Choose the customizations you want, from lapels to pleats to jacket linings and more. Then you submit your body measurements and you kick back and you relax. Get a cold beverage. Get ready to step into the very best, most stylish suit you've ever worn in just 4 weeks. This week, our listeners can get any premium Indochino suit, any one of them.
Whoa.
For just $379 at Indochino.com. Enter SOLID at checkout. Again, $379, 50% off the regular price for a made-to-measure premium suit. Shipping is always free. That's at Indochino.com. Your promo code is SOLID. Any premium suit, just $379 and free shipping. Don't worry about a badly fitting suit or an expensive trip to the tailor ever again. Get ready to look like $1,000,000.
No brainer. Again, no brainer.
Speaking of fits.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how Alabama and Texas A&M fit together, or in this case, how they probably don't fit together.
Okay, let's talk.
Saturday night, 7:15 on ESPN. 26.5 points. Alabama is a road favorite against Texas A&M. Since that great Alabama A&M game back in 2013, the one with Johnny Manziel and Mike Evans, and the long, 99-yard touchdown pass to Mike Evans, I remember it.
Got some Ryan Swope?
Yeah. Since then, this has been at worst a 18-point victory for Alabama. They've really gone in a better direction, a much more consistent direction than Texas A&M. Can you craft a scenario, Dan? Can you take me deep inside the mystical world of your Danalytics and craft a scenario in which A&M wins a game like this?
No. So here's what we know about Texas A&M. We know Kellen Mond is an interesting dual threat quarterback. We know there's talent on both sides of the ball. Christian Kirk is, at worst, one of the best all-purpose players in college football. All-purpose offensive skill players in all of college football. They give up too many bigger passes. Texas A&M offense stalls out too quickly because Kellen Mond is still not a thrower. That sets up the defense for failure, and these are all things that Alabama will happily gobble up. They're dominant at basically everything. The only real chance you have at beating Alabama is matching them in talent, matching them in the trenches, and just being fearless on offense, most likely through the air. These are not things I see in Texas A&M. Jalen Hurts is now extraordinary this year in terms of his efficiency. Hasn't seen a ton of good defenses, but there's nothing to complain about with Jalen Hurts. And he was the weak link last year against better defenses. Alabama minus anything versus a team who doesn't do a ton well. I have 42-14 tied.
Yeah. I think we're in Alabama minus anything territory.
Yeah.
I like Travion Williams. I like Keith Ford. I like Christian Kirk. There is no way I can take A&M here against a team like Alabama. And I like Kellen Mond. I can't help but feel like Kellen Mond would be a great name for a volcano on Mars.
Kellen Mond.
Here's my question about Alabama. I'm going Bama whatever, minus whatever.
Okay, give me a question.
Is Bama so far and away better than everyone else that they're kind of weirdly going to fly under the radar all season?
In the SEC or in the country?
Just in the country.
No, I don't think there is a defending champion who beat them. So, no, I don't think Alabama is so far ahead of Clemson, if ahead at all.
It just feels to me like Alabama is going to destroy everybody. And because...
Give me your top 3 teams that could beat Alabama. Could.
Oh, God. Clemson, maybe Penn State because of their offensive style.
I have Clemson, Oklahoma, and Auburn has become interesting to me.
My point, though, it feels like Alabama is going to destroy everyone to the point where we're generally assuming that's the case from week to week, and it makes them perhaps a little bit less interesting. There are fewer people, at least in our circle here, talking about Alabama, not because they're not any good, just because everyone assumes they're the best.
Well, we also only see, a half of Jalen Hurts and the starters.
Yeah.
They beat Ole Miss by 60. They beat Vandy by 60. I mean, the closest team right now, it was a late touchdown, was basically, either Florida State or Colorado State.
It's incredible. It's incredible. They're that much better than so much of the competition that I'm telling you, based on what has come into Solid Verbal headquarters, there has been less banter about Alabama this year than there has in previous years.
The good news is, if you like competitive games, they'll have Auburn, whatever that is, Thanksgiving weekend, Iron Bowl weekend. It's looking more and more like Georgia the following, which is a huge test and will not be a blowout. I don't think either one of those games will be a blowout. And then the playoff. So they will fly under the radar. And it's also, look, there's no Lane Kiffin. There's just, there was so much experience and household names on defense last year. You had O.J. Howard, who was there forever. So I think some of it is still learning new names that we only get to see for 2 quarters.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what the rationale is, but that's the way it feels to me. Anyway.
Yep.
Saturday, 7:30 on ABC, we've got Michigan, a 10.5-point favorite, hosting who they would call little brother. In the ultimate show of Michigan State disrespect, Dan.
Wife is going to be there.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Noted Michigan alum, Jody with an I. Okay. Mm-hmm. Wilton Spate still injured. Even if he were healthy, you'd have to seriously consider giving the keys to John O'Korn because he was a freak on a leash against Purdue. We've talked about it on the podcast, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
First things first. What's the best unit on the field here in this game?
Oh, Michigan's defense, Ty.
Yeah.
Not only are the Wolverines the best defense, the Wolverine defense might sort of backdoor be the best offense with the field position that they'll give the Michigan offense and how much their opponent's defense will be on the field because of how quickly Michigan's own defense gets off of it, if that makes any sense.
Sure, why not? Michigan, according to Bill Connolly's S&P Plus, has the number 2 defense in the country. Even without those numbers, if you've watched any Michigan football, the defense is very, very talented. Very talented. They lost some key contributors on that defense. They're still very good. It's going to keep them in a lot of games this year. Mm-hmm. And I'm optimistic about John O'Korn. You and I have been joking around about John O'Korn o'clock. I'm excited. I'm excited to see if they can bring him along, take him to another level. I don't think Michigan State's good enough to win a game like this. And we do have a sample to work with here from their last two games because Notre Dame and Iowa, two solid defenses, 18 points against Notre Dame, 17 points in a win against Iowa. I don't think it's reasonable to expect more than that here. I think 17 is probably your threshold against Michigan.
But that does beg the question. What is Michigan's offensive threshold? If things are operating like they operated against Cincinnati, and granted, those Wilton Speight teams, and Wilton Speight is still pretty good. Cincinnati, Air Force. The first half against Purdue. There are legitimate questions about Michigan's offense.
Yeah, I mean, there's potential for a stinker, isn't there?
There is 100, and what do you do and this is 100% a rivalry game, Ty.
Yeah. Ooh.
What do you do in those games?
Generally, you throw the records out. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. So, okay.
Whew, man, you're blowing my mind here.
In totality, Michigan's offense has been disappointing. They've generated some bigger plays, but in terms of staying ahead of the chains, in terms of converting red zone attempts into 6 or even 3, this has been a disappointing year for the Michigan offense, especially up front. The offensive line has been kind of putrid, secretly putrid. Michigan's defense is great. We know that. Michigan State's offense against a defense like this, if they have any hope, it'll be Brian Lewerke, short to intermediate passes. He's been very good.
He's been better running the football this year, too.
He has been good running the football. Michigan State as a whole, though, has not been.
No.
LJ Scott's been pretty disappointing. If they're going to win, it will be slow, plodding drives, keeping the Michigan offense cold, like your stay away theory that you thought Pitt would adhere to, did not.
No, didn't work. No.
Off of a bye, though, I think Michigan at home, it's not a crock potting, but it might be like a front door cover type of deal. I'm going to say 30-14 because I think you're right about Michigan State's point ceiling. I think Michigan gets it together enough. John O'Korn was Purdue. It was Purdue. It's okay. I'm not fully sold on, as my wife likes to say, game day with John O'K. She's very excited. Okay. She's all in on John O'Korn.
We can go with that. I also like the term point ceiling.
Yeah,
point ceiling's that's relevant.
Good. 30-14.
30-17. Michigan wins this game. Moving on, 10-15. Whoo, okay. Fox Sports 1, Stanford on the road, 6-point favorite at Utah, Dan. Is the correct team favored here?
So Utah is going to be playing, I believe, Troy Williams at quarterback.
Troy Williams is, yes, he is the likely starter. Tyler Huntley, who we've discussed here and there on the podcast, he's battling an injury and will be unable to play.
It's an interesting matchup because these two teams are both successful on offense in very different ways. So Stanford, they're home run hitters at this point because of Bryce Love. They're extraordinarily explosive and not crazy efficient because of the quarterback change, and KJ Costello is definitely more encouraging than the Keller Christ, Ryan Burns experiment of the past year plus. So that's encouraging. They're going to Utah, which is a difficult place to play. That's typically where pretty good teams go to die, Salt Lake City. Utah, on the other hand, is that pickleball type team. Do you remember talking about pickleball?
I do.
Ty?
I remember, yeah.
The condensed tennis court. They're very efficient, and they just don't see a field beyond 20 yards. They are just, the blinders are on. Utah runs the ball relatively well. They throw it, and that's mostly with Tyler Huntley, relatively well. I like the new offensive coaching staff. I have Utah here winning outright by 4. I think it's going to be a very similar game to what Stanford San Diego State looked like. Utah succeeds on the ground. They nickel and dime a little bit going down the field against what I think Stanford's defense is quietly one of the more disappointing parts of this college football season.
Yeah, I was going to go there.
They get pushed around.
Yeah.
I didn't fully see this coming. I'm going to go Utah outright once again, 28-24. So they have to be. They're my home dog of the week, Ty.
The Yakos home dog of the week.
You're stealing a lot of my thunder here tonight, Dan. But that's okay. We're a team. We're a useful team together. I appreciate that.
Stolen thunder.
KJ Costello. You mentioned him very quickly. he just needs to be somewhat effective here. He needs to give them something in the passing game because Bryce Love, let's talk about him again. He's got over 1,000 yards rushing in 5 weeks of play.
He's so stupid good.
That's incredible. That's a video game statistic there. 11.1 yards per carry and 8 touchdowns in 5 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible.
It's ridiculous.
God.
I love it.
You're right. This is 100% the kind of game that looks like it should be all Stanford, somehow ends up being super close. I think it's defensive-minded. I think the difference is Utah's inability to finish drives. That has been a problem so far this season. Kind of like Florida State, actually. Field goals instead of touchdowns, eventually that comes back to haunt you. I do think they cover here. I am going to go the other way, though. I'm going to say Stanford wins a very close, low-scoring game, 21-17.
Okay.
But I do like Utah to cover and keep it close. I think we're both in the same ballpark as far as that goes.
We sort of agree.
And then let's travel back in time. Thursday, 8 p.m., ESPN, Louisville, Louisville on the road, a 3.5-point favorite at NC State. All right. Okay. When you look at the stats for Louisville, what jumps out at you immediately is that Lamar Jackson is literally the entire team. The entire team. He's accounted for over 2,000 yards of offense, 18 touchdowns. He's also only played 5 games. I don't think Louisville is very well-rounded without him. They're just not. He's their best player. In college football, you can have one transcendent player. He can win you a lot of games. But the question now as we go into a game like this is, do you side with maybe the best player in college football or with a team like NC State that has more of a veteran presence? They might have more balance overall on offense, Dan.
It's a good question, Ty. Here's how I see it. Let's start with NC State because Louisville is probably a better known commodity right now. NC State's offense with Ryan Finley has been a pretty well-oiled machine. They drive down the field. They score points. They beat decent, if not pretty good teams. They lose to South Carolina, but that was the first week of the year. That's fine. It happens. They don't throw the ball downfield a ton. They're just creative about how they get the ball to playmakers. And Louisville's defense, as we've seen, they can be pushed around. Yeah. And that's a disappointing thing. But, Ty, but NC State gives up some big plays on defense.
They do.
They give up a number of big plays, and as much rightful attention as the defensive front, in particular Bradley Chubb, who's already into double-digit tackles for loss this season. He's so good. He might be the best defensive player in the country. But that might be a secret bad matchup. And it feels like this line is very enticing to take NC State. They're at home. They've won big games already this year. They're underdogs. I think it entices the wrong type of person who will gamble on college football. I don't gamble on college football. I think Louisville wins this game by a touchdown. I think the Lamar Jackson show is very real on a big stage. You know I hate going against home dogs, Ty. It hurts me. It wounds me. I think Louisville wins this game by a touchdown. I think we are undervaluing Louisville at this point because they lost to a clear top 2 team in the country. They're not on Clemson's level, but NC State might be a bit of an overvalue right now.
I enjoy teeing you up and letting you talk to hear how many of the same points that we have.
Yes.
In this case, I think we share all of them, actually.
Okay.
Monster game coming for Lamar Jackson here. On the ground, I see the tendencies for big plays as well. I think he's a home run hitter. You don't need to be a college football savant. You don't need to watch every week to know that that's his specialty. Mm-hmm. He's a big play guy on the ground, through the air, and dog, it's going to be there. It's going to be there in this game against NC State. They've given up a lot of big plays this year, and that is just not a good formula when you've got the reigning Heisman Trophy guy on the other side who's such a presence. So I think a big game for Lamar Jackson. And, you know, I've already done this thing where I lock up Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to scare off longtime friends of the show like Lindsay Millian, longtime Verballer, other Louisville fans. I don't want to lock up the Cardinals here. I don't want to jinx them. So I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
I'm just going to say I'm feeling very confident.
It's very mature of you, Ty.
Thank you. I'm growing every day. I think a big game for Lamar Jackson here. I think they win going away. I'm going to say 49-24.
Wow. You think... Oh, I love the balls on that pick.
49-24. I like the Cards.
Okay. Yeah, I don't see NC State giving up that many points.
Before we go through quickly a number of other games in college football, let me tell you about Casper, Dan.
Oh, hell, just do, Ty.
You've got a Casper, I've got a Casper. How is it working out for you and your wife?
I have been sleeping like a baby, Ty. It's been wonderful.
Currently, the solid wife is away on a business trip. And I'm not kidding. When she's gotten home from other business trips in the past, she's come home and she said to me, this God's honest truth, I can't wait to lay on the Casper.
Is that true?
Going to sleep is an exciting experience again. Our old mattress just didn't cut it.
So what is the new beauty of this Casper?
Well, let me tell you a little bit more about them. I'm glad you asked.
I'm ready.
Casper is a sleep brand that creates premium mattresses. They sell them online for a fraction of what they might cost in a store. Their business works by continuously developing their mattresses using feedback from nearly 500,000 customers. They've got a San Francisco R&D team that recently developed a proprietary foam, big word there, that relieves pressure and increases airflow. Real customers have said that this mattress is, quote, like sleeping on a brioche, and, quote, like being cradled by the tinkling of baby laughter in the moonlight, end quote.
Yeah, no, that adds up.
Buying a Casper is easy. You can just order it online, and whether you're in the United States, Canada, or now even the UK, it is delivered to your door in a compact, how did they do that size box? You also get free shipping. You also get free returns. We spend 1/3 of our lives on a mattress, Dan. It is important to truly sleep on a mattress before committing to it. That's why Casper gives you 100 nights to try it out. If you don't love it, they'll pick it up. They'll refund you everything. So it's a good deal.
So
you don't
generous.
lose anything. Don't lose anything by trying this out. Right now, you can get $50 towards any mattress purchase by going to Casper.com/verbal and using the code verbal. Casper.com/verbal. Use the code verbal. $50 towards any mattress purchase. Terms and conditions do apply.
What a deal.
All right. We've got some other games. We must move quickly, Dan. My gosh.
Let's.
We've got a number of them here that we need to get through. Let's start back with a nooner on Saturday on ESPN2. Clemson at home a week after that big road win in Blacksburg. They're a 22-point favorite against Wake Forest, Dan. Wake Forest has a defense.
They've got a quarterback.
How you feeling?
So, this is what my head says, Ty. Maybe a slight letdown spot for Clemson.
Okay.
Big win against Virginia Tech. Relatively comfortable win. Feels like a lot of points. This was about the disparity last year when the game was at Wake, right? It was like 35, 14, 13, something like that. I would argue even without Mike Elko, Wake has taken a step forward with the evolution, the development of John Wolford. I'm going to roll the dice here, Ty. I hate picking against Clemson. I'm going to roll the dice on a backdoor cover. 31-14 Clemson, comfortable win. But Wake gets that backdoor cove.
Wow.
How about that?
I think we're in Clemson minus anything territory, to be honest.
That's totally understandable and defensible.
I'm going to go Clemson 33-6. I don't think Wake gets into double digits here.
Okay.
Clemson's
I don't
defense
hate
is too
that
much.
pick.
Saturday at high noon on ESPN. Georgia, the Dogs, they're a 17.5-point road favorite at Vandy. Georgia's defense, we talked about them earlier, has been vicious so far this season. Nobody has scored 20 points on them yet. Notre Dame came close. Yeah, it's real good.
How many points did Notre Dame score?
Notre Dame scored a lucky 19 points.
Lucky
in week
19.
2. How many can Vandy score? What is their point ceiling here, Dan?
13, maybe 10 or 7.
I am horribly on the fence here. Horribly on the fence. Not as it relates to who wins the game. But the point spread to me feels a little bit odd. And I wonder if there isn't a bit of a letdown effect after that Tennessee game. I really do. Because that was like a momentous victory to just destroy Tennessee the way they did 41-0. Now you got to go to Vandy. Like, that kind of lacks the excitement.
Yeah, but how much did Quentin Dormady really scare Georgia and focus Georgia? I say not much. I have 34-10 Georgia. I think they cover this game. That's the extent of my notes on this game. 34-10 Georgia.
The Dogs so far are undefeated this season against the spread.
Yeah.
And my notes on this game are that sooner or later that's going to change because Vegas always wins. So 17.5 is what I have it at. I'm going to say Georgia wins 31-14. Vandy wins by that half point, that little hook, an annoying little hook.
Okay.
All right, moving on. Saturday, again, high noon, a lot of nooners. SEC Network, Auburn at home, 21.5 points the favorite. Against Ole Miss, the extent of my notes here are that Auburn wins 42-17 and Jared Stidham goes off.
I have 42-10, Ty.
Wow, we are like-minded.
Yeah, I don't think Jared Stidham's going to throw the ball more than 17 times. Auburn's going to continue to get healthier on offense. I feel good about a very comfortable... God, what's the backup quarterback's name who had the long run? Is it Malik Willis?
Sure.
I think we see a good heaping of Malik Willis.
Saturday, 3:30, ABC. Notre Dame on the road at North Carolina. So if you go to an actual betting site, if you go to a casino right now, you're going to see no line on the board for this game. You're going to see a lock next to it, not letting you select a team that you think is going to beat or cover the point spread. And the reason for that is that apparently Brandon Wimbush has been spotted around town wearing a walking boot.
Okay.
This kind of snuck up on us, Dan. Brian Kelly came out and said that he's got something called a grade 1 foot strain, which I gotta be honest, sounds about as real as the human fund. Very vaguely worded, a foot strain.
Yes.
And there have been pictures that have emerged about Ian Book, their backup quarterback, taking some reps with the ones.
So if Ian Book plays for Notre Dame, we assume the playbook is going to be pared down, probably significantly, right? Is he a true freshman? No, he's a redshirt freshman, or they don't redshirt. He's a second-year guy, right?
Yeah, I mean, you could pare down the playbook and still run a lot of the same power rushing stuff that they've had a lot of success with so far this season.
Yeah, and Josh Adams has been wonderful.
Josh Adams has been very, very good. Perhaps you lose a little bit of the versatility if Wimbush can't go. But Notre Dame still has a very good line. They still have a very strong stable of running backs. And, you know, this is not a good North Carolina team.
No, it's a completely ravaged by injury North Carolina team.
They're ravaged by injuries. They're 1-4. It has not been pretty. They've not lost to bad teams, per se. They've lost to Cal, Louisville, Duke, and Georgia Tech so far. So not an easy road, not exactly top 10 competition. Their next 4 games, by the way, if you're interested in knowing this little factoid, after Notre Dame, they've also got Virginia, who, by the way, beat Boise, Virginia Tech, who I still think is pretty good, and Miami, who we've got predicted to roll over Florida State earlier in the day.
True.
So I'm not saying that North Carolina is any good. I'm just saying it's worth noting that they've lost to decent teams. They have more decent teams on the schedule if their season ends up going like 5-7, if that, 4-8. I was prepared to say that Notre Dame was undervalued in this football game. And I think as a whole, they're kind of undervalued because they lost to Georgia. Close game, but they've got the loss now. They've got the blemish, and they are a bit flying under the radar. They've got a good defense. Their offense is still pretty solid, though I don't feel very well-rounded. All that aside, even with the backup, I think Notre Dame's able to run over North Carolina and cover 13.5. So give me the Irish here.
I don't think that's a bet. Oh, hold on one second. Grandpa, no, Ian Book is the name of the quarterback. It's not a book. No, it's a person. He might play.
You scoundrel.
Sorry, I hate when he just gets very confused, and I just look out for him. Okay, here's what I want to happen, Ty. Worse than anything in this game, and I think you'll appreciate it. I want Ian Book to start, and I want Brandon Wimbush to heal eventually, or as soon as possible, and be healthy and happy. I want Ian Book to start, and I want him to dominate. Because you know what that means, Ty?
Me too.
No, you know what that means?
What?
Folks, is this still Brandon Wimbush's team? Ladies and gentlemen, has Ian Book done enough to win this job?
Is the backup better than the starter?
Is the backup better than the starter?
I can't deal with that again. I can't not again. I can't. All last year, it killed me.
We saw what Ian Book was able to do. Drive the ball down the field.
Not again.
It seemed like he has chemistry with those receivers. It seems the coaching staff trusts him.
Not again, please.
Okay, so in all likelihood, if Brandon Wimbush plays, he will be physically limited. They will not run him in any sort of significant way, right? Yes?
Yeah, I agree.
So I'm much more worried about North Carolina than I am Notre Dame. I think they find a way, either just toughing it out on the ground and playing good defense. So the spread for this game is what, 15 and a half?
I've got it at 13 and a half, but it's
13 and a half.
It's jumped around a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I'm still going to give those points because I think they're still too talented and too healthy, really. I think North Carolina just does not have enough in the tank. So I'm going to go with Notre Dame to win this game. If it's Ian Book, I don't think they score 30, but 27-10, something like that.
All right. Saturday at 7 on Fox Sports 1, we've got Texas at home. A 4-point favorite. Really? Really? Okay.
Yep.
Against Kansas State, Dan. Why is Texas favored?
It's at home. Texas plays really good defense. Kansas State lost to Vanderbilt, who that loss looks worse by the week. I think the line of thinking is that the Texas offense will get better over the course of the season as players become more familiar with the offense. But Ty, you also have, what do we call it? The BMS?
Yeah, that's right.
It's not a big game, but I hate Texas play calling and what they're trying to do on offense right now. I really do.
Yeah.
I think in this game, first of all, Texas K-State, Texas has historically been snake bitten. Not that makes a huge difference, but I think Kansas State's going to play slowly, and they're going to keep the Texas offense off the field. So an offense that is in dire need of rhythm is going to stay pretty frozen. I think Kansas State covers here. I think they might win outright, Ty.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the Wildcats by field goal, 20-17.
I'm all in on the Wildcats, and by the way, I'm all in on the BMS thing.
No, by tomorrow you'll barely be able to breathe.
Oh, man.
I'm gonna go Kansas State as well, straight up.
All right, we agree.
Saturday, 8 p.m., Big Ten Network. Big game. Wisconsin on the road, a 12-point favorite against the Nebraska Cornhuskers, Dan.
The Yakos. Home dog of the week.
Okay, why are they your home dog?
Mike Riley, a robust 2-0 after Nebraska's AD got fired after it seemed he was clinging to life in Lincoln.
Yell course bump.
Yeah, Saturday night under the lights in Lincoln. The students have declared this game a blackout.
Uh-oh.
How do you feel about blackouts and whiteouts, stuff like that? How do you feel about that?
I think it's fine. I think if the people doing it are having fun and it's victimless and it gets the crowd excited, which is always an advantage for hopefully the defense, maybe drive a couple false starts, it's cool. I'm liking it.
I have numerous questions about this, okay? Mainly about the declaration of it. Because this happens all the time, right? Big game, night game, right? James Franklin, anybody. Some coach comes out and says, just want everyone to know this is going to be a blackout game. And everyone on message boards, they all go crazy like it's the 12th man on the field.
Thunder. Yeah.
Hey, it's cool. It's fun. I love it.
Yeah.
People, this is not a magic spell. If they can do it for one big game, why don't they do it for every game?
Why don't they build the whole plane out of the box?
That's what I'm saying. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I think Nebraska covers this game. I was surprised at how underwhelmed I was a week ago when Wisconsin played against Northwestern, because I don't think Northwestern's very good. To me, it seemed like it took them a little bit to get rolling. I'm still not horny for Hornibrook. I've never been.
Okay.
He is the king of pop gun arms. We haven't seen one like this since Bryant Moniz at Hawaii.
Record setter, I think. Who knows?
I know. I'm going to go Nebraska just for the hell of it. They're my home dog of the week. I think they cover. I think Wisconsin wins. Let's say 31-24.
Okay. I have 30-16 Wisconsin.
Also fair.
Here is my reasoning. Tanner Lee throwing into the teeth of a very, very good defense. If I am planning to beat Wisconsin, I think there's one way and only one way to do it. And that is forcing Alex Hornibrook to throw a lot. I don't know if he's thrown more than 20, 25 times this year. I can't imagine he has. I can't imagine Nebraska's defense being the defense to make that happen. If you do not play, if your team does not play very good defense against Wisconsin, you better hope to win ugly. And I just don't see it, Ty. Wisconsin's going to play defense. They're going to control the clock. They're going to control the ground. The Nebraska defense, and especially their pass defense, is not any good. I think you'll see just a lot of Hornibrook rolling out and hitting, 8-yard whatevers.
Troy Fumagalli. But Dan, it's a blackout. It's
Danny
a blackout.
Davis, Ty. I know. I think it could be close in the first half, but I think Wisconsin grounds them down. So 30-16, something like that.
31-24.
Have fun. Have fun riding Tanner Lee.
Oh, God. Saturday at 8 p.m., final game here on Fox. You're going to have to explain this one to me. All right? Honestly, I say this to you as a friend, not as a co-host.
Yeah.
I have no notes for this game at all. Oregon, at last check, was favored?
Well, no, now I'm seeing Wazoo. It's been swinging back and forth, about a 4-point swing between 2 and 2.
So you're going to have to explain this one to me.
Yeah.
Oregon's at home. They're playing Washington State. Washington State just beat USC. Washington State, we would agree, is a pretty good football team, yes?
I'd say straight up good. They're in the top 12. They've beaten a good team. They're looking like they're a complete team. They've got an experienced quarterback. They're balanced on offense.
A lot of good stuff, right?
They rush the passer, yes.
Oregon's entire two deep is pretty much on the shelf. How could it possibly be that at one point or at any point in the history of the point spread of this football game that Oregon was favored? Because that's definitely been the case. I saw them as a 2-point favorite earlier in the week.
Oh, I think it was as of yesterday or the day before. Yeah. So here's the conventional wisdom about this game outside of a vacuum. Washington State, emotional win. So you have letdown potential going to a very hostile place to play against a very much improved defense that was very, very good against Cal. They lost their quarterback against Cal. They beat them by 21. They scored 28 from that point on without Justin Herbert. So the thinking is they can score without Herbert, at least against average to below average teams, which Washington State is not. But if Oregon's defense is very good, I think they get a little bit healthier in the back end. They're still beat up at linebacker, and they've been getting after the quarterback. So if Oregon's defense can get off the field relatively quickly, and Oregon can sort of, because Royce Freeman is also dinged up in this game, but they have a good amount of depth at running back. If they can get the ball to their speed in creative ways. So Taj Griffin, Tony Brooks James, they're still beat up at receiver, which is a pretty huge problem. That they can sort of win this game in a creative way by playing good defense and running the ball against what will be a pretty stacked box for Washington State. But if they can get it outside, if they can get it to the perimeter and do things creatively, Oregon has a good shot at home at night in a loud place. I don't know if it's going to be Taylor Alley who left the game after hitting the ground pretty hard. He was the former walk-on quarterback, or Braxton Burmeister, all-time great name, Ty.
Oh, yeah.
But he is a true freshman, so Oregon is starting, in either case, somebody with limited experience playing well or no experience but has upside. And Burmeister, I think, is a smaller guy. He's probably 6 feet tall at best. So it's a tough road. I don't love tough roads, but at least it's at home. I'm going Washington State to win.
Me too.
I am going Wazoo by. I don't think it's going to be big. I'm seeing the over/under at like 61.5. I think Oregon's defense will do a pretty good job, but I just don't see a path to which Oregon can score 30 points.
This would be typically a wonderful situation to go with a home dog.
Yes, 100%.
On the road after a big emotional Friday night victory over a top 5 team. Generally, those are the situations that you and I would pick out, and it doesn't matter if it's our team or someone else's. Usually we go home dog there, but with such a low point spread and with Oregon's injury troubles, it's difficult to see how they're able to craft a win here, even if Washington State comes out and they're a little bit flat. This is a team that, even this season, has been able to pile on points pretty quickly. They run that pyrotechnic air raid Mike Leach offense. They can put points on the board pretty quickly, so they're never really out of a game, especially if they're up against a defense like Oregon. Though it's improved, it's still not shut down Clemson quality. Washington State's going to have their cracks to get points, so I'm going to go with you. I'm going to go Washington State wins this one on the road outright.
I have 31-24, something like that. And it gave me nightmares going back a couple of years to the Royce Freeman running for like 300 yards in a losing effort. Because Vegas approximately sees this as like a 31-28 type game. I don't think it's going to be that close. So I think it's a touchdown, but Oregon, I think, looks all right in a losing effort.
All right. I'm going to go back at this point, and I'm going to issue some locks of the week, if that's okay with you.
Okay, what do you have?
Let's go Miami.
Lock of the week.
I don't generally like doing road teams, but I feel pretty confident about that one. I am going to go way off the grid here. I know there are some injury issues for Purdue. I know their quarterback situation is a bit in limbo. What with their starter having a sprained AC joint in his throwing shoulder. But I trust a lot more in the coaching situation at Purdue than I do at Minnesota. And I like PJ Fleck and his aggressive-minded row-the-boat mentality. But if you give me a chance to take Jeff Brom minus like 3 over Minnesota, yeah.
Lock of the week.
Way off the grid, give me Purdue minus, I think it's only going to be like a field goal.
I'm saying like 3.5, 4, yeah.
Give me Purdue minus the points over Minnesota.
Okay. I don't feel strongly about that game, as you can imagine.
I feel good. I feel eerily confident in Purdue's chances over Minnesota.
Okay, so Duke, Virginia, sneaky interesting for the upper middle class of that division.
Sure.
Pitt, Syracuse is going to be very bad. I think Syracuse wins that game comfortably. Virginia Tech, Boston College, potential letdown spot. Virginia Tech going on the road to a Boston College team that gave Clemson some trouble for a good amount of that game.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I don't see a lot, Ty. So I guess I'm just going to make a request, if that's cool by you.
A request?
Yeah, I love making requests.
Make it quick because we're running out of time here.
Will you drop that warming, slippery, nibbling, thrashing drum and fife?
Did you look that one up? Are those ones that you pulled out of a thesaurus or something?
That was pulled out of the demented brain of Dan Rubenstein.
Okay, what do we got?
We got Monmouth at Holy Cross, Ty. And let me tell you something about this Holy Cross team. They are not the team of Gordy Lockbaum, George Connor, or Bill Swiacki.
What?
We're doing first Pate.
Okay. Right.
Monmouth, Ty. We're talking about the school of Miles Austin and Chris Hogan. Give me Monmouth.
Monmouth, really? Over the Crusaders?
Absolutely. Monmouth has started out really nicely. Holy Cross just lost to Lafayette. Like some sort of joke.
That was actually a huge joke, yeah. I don't understand that one either, but give me the Crusaders here. How dare you go against our second favorite Patriot League team?
That's
outside
true.
of Lehigh and Lafayette. They're all our favorites, but Crusaders
Georgetown, Georgetown going on the road, not too far away from New York, taking on Princeton, Ty. And let me tell you something about Georgetown. They are the school of Jim Schwartz. That's 100% true, Ty.
Yeah, Patrick
the Philly
Ewing.
defensive coordinator. Patrick Ewing, Allen Iverson, Jim Schwartz. And what does Princeton have to boast, Ty? Dick Kazmaier?
Yeah.
Karan Reed? Please.
Yeah.
Give me Georgetown.
I'm going to go Georgetown here as well. Yeah.
We've got Lehigh. Disappointing year for Lehigh, Ty. Only if you're a Lehigh fan. Wonderful year if you're a Lafayette fan. Going to Colgate. Gators or Engineers, Ty?
Can you name me a Colgate alum?
Ty, we talking Marv Hubbard? Ty, we talking Washington defensive coordinator Greg Manewski? This is the official podcast of the Gators of Colgate. Marv Hubbard and Greg Manewski would be proud of this pick. Give me the Gators.
Wow. I have to go with Lehigh. Come on.
Oh, a sucker's bet.
Come on. I got to go Lehigh here.
Not only are you riding with the solid wife with this, Ty, you are riding with the complete fraud that is Kim McQuilkin, Steve Kreider. That's all I got.
Listen, there have been 3 Pulitzer Prize winners to come from Lehigh. Just leave it at that.
I'm excited about that. This next matchup, Ty, tore at the very soul of my being. Fordham at Lafayette.
Wow.
That's tough for me, Ty. Fordham, New York's one true team. Lafayette, the official Patriot League school of the Rubenstein family. Let me tell you something about Lafayette, Ty, that troubles me. Joe Madden is not walking through that door. Jack Ernst not showing up on campus. I'm rolling with Fordham here. I'm feeling good about John Skelton, Harry McJunskin, Harry Chakunskin.
Are these real people?
100% real people. Well, you know John Skelton.
Yeah, I know who John Skelton is.
Yeah, I'm going with Fordham. They're turning things around.
I am going to go with Lafayette.
Of those names, I think Marv Hubbard is the most Patriot League name. Greg Manewski is pretty good. He's good.
Greg Manewski's up there, but yeah.
He's a good defense.
Marv Hubbard is...
2 NFC East defensive coordinators, Washington and Philly.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
I'm looking at an alum here for Lafayette named Burr McIntosh, an actor, author, and photographer.
So these are all football players that I named, except, Joe Madden.
I'm digging deep into the drawer here. I'm going government. I'm going entertainment. Yeah.
Yeah. Jim Schwartz is rolling over in his grave.
All right. Well, fun show, boys and girls. Thank you for tuning in here to the Solid Verbal. Week 6 is upon us. If you didn't get a shirt, as we mentioned at the top, we will be posting in short order a couple weeks from now, in all likelihood, a link where you can get your hands on a second run of our Solid Verbal t-shirts. So stay tuned to the Twitter feed, stay tuned to the podcast and the Facebook page, all that jazz. We will provide all of those details for you as soon as it's available. Also, please do follow us on our social media channels. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. We post things on Facebook, videos, things like that. I tried to post one last week, but that didn't work out so well.
Delete it again.
We're going to try it again on Sunday. I have a better idea. I think it's a little bit more bulletproof.
Okay.
And you've been posting stuff as well. Yeah. So that's one way. If you're excited about what's going on here in Verbalville, you can stay in touch and get more added free content. Also, do check out the subreddit. We got an email from our good friend Peter, who helps run the subreddit. The subreddit at reddit.com/r/solidverbal is doing extremely well right now, approaching nearly 1,000 readers, which is a mere fraction of our audience, but still a very lively base of people who are posting about the shows and meeting up with one another at games, writing about the games on Saturday. A lot of fun stuff going on over there. So check it out. Again, that's the subreddit. And sign up for the newsletter. If you haven't already, you can go to solidverbal.com, click on newsletter, sign up. We send it out every Friday afternoon. Taylor is now back, I'm told, from his South American vacation where he did not eat guinea pig in Ecuador, Dan. Didn't
Ty,
happen.
did you think of an unorthodox, not unorthodox, but non-mainstream appetizer?
Potato skins?
Oh, that's super mainstream.
I don't know. I'm not good at this.
I'm going to give one to, I'm going to just give it out. Don't worry about it. You don't have to.
Mushroom
I had this a
poppers? I
lot.
don't know.
I had this a lot in Italy and Greece, but you can get it at Italian restaurants, Greek restaurants, Middle Eastern restaurants here. Mashed fava beans, Ty.
Now, what is that, honestly?
So
What is
they're
a fava bean?
They're like white beans, Ty.
Okay.
And it's a mash with like tomatoes and onions and garlic. Real good dip in like a pita, a flatbread. You can spice it up a little bit.
I
Ty.
have
It's
never in my life been to a restaurant that's had that on the menu.
That's not true. That's 100% not true.
Never in my lifetime have I ever been to a place that had that.
You skimmed over it, and I don't blame you because, you get the fava bean thing is, it sounds sort of ridiculous, but it's like a grittier hummus, I would say.
All right.
With like tomato and garlic and spices.
I mean, it sounds fine. I'm just, that's
Mashed
your world. That's not mine.
Well,
You're better
I'm
at
bringing
this.
you into, Ty, I'm going to quote Ariel here. I'm going to paraphrase Ariel, the Little Mermaid. I want you to be part of my world.
On that note,
Yeah.
very awkward note for my good friend Dan Rubenstein over there in New York City, for myself, Ty Hildenbrand over here in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Thank you for subscribing, downloading, and listening. We will catch you all on Sunday after the games. In the meantime, enjoy your weekend and stay solid.
Peace.